Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Jacob, again, and this is the 12th? This is the 13th. I skipped the 12th, but I'll tell you guys about that. So yesterday was Friday, and I ended up doing some stuff with friends, so I really only got about 3 hours of studying done. Um, and I'm not gonna record a video for that. I'm just gonna mush it into this one. But today is a video for the 13th day, and this was Saturday, and this one I set out to do, like pretty heavy session, um, and so I was aiming to do, like uh, 10 to 12 hours or something crazy like that. I ended up only getting 9 hours, and it's pretty late now, and I'm pretty tired. And honestly, I'm gonna try and do the same thing tomorrow, so it's better that I just get a good amount of sleep and I wake up and then I just redo everything, and maybe I'll get it tomorrow, maybe I won't. 9 hours is definitely good enough, anyways. Um, and a lot of my whole uh, I don't know, mentality or strategy is about having it be sustainable. So being sustainable is with these type of things. Everyone I talk to, when they hear about this type of stuff, they're like, "Well, I would just burn out if I did that." And I'll give you kind of like my take on that. I've done this stuff for a very long time. At this point, I grew up and I was like a competitive musician. So from a very young age, I was used to like practicing and then performing, right? And with programming, it's actually nice because you pretty much just practice and you never have to perform. So there's never any jitters or nerves. You just practice, and you know. But I guess how that relates is that I'm used to approaching things from a regimented and very like disciplined type of approach, and so I know the value of practice and study, and so I've applied that in my life. So, anyways, how do you actually do something like 9 hours? Well, again, Jacobian hours are like only 45 minutes long, and then there's like at least a mandatory 15-minute break. And I'll tell you, there's an adaptation on this. When you're going for really long endurance for like days where you're doing more than maybe like 5 or 6 hours, you need to start taking that 15-minute break and doing something that's really restful with it, such as meditating. And so that's actually what I do, and I did do that a bunch. You don't have to do it every single time, but if you do it, you know, it's going to give you more endurance and vitality, and help fend off, fatigue and whatnot. So there's also some other good tricks where, staring at a screen is hard, but you can still be productive on studying and doing stuff without staring at information. And there's a certain type of exercise I like to do sometimes, which is away from the keyboard, away from the screen, and really just away from the information, and it's just reflective. And I'll just sit down and I'll just write like a bunch of questions I have, and I'll just sit there and I'll just keep doing this, and I'll do it for like 45 minutes, right? And I won't answer the questions. And it's not like after I write down all the questions, I'm going to go to the browser and then like look up every single one. That's not my style. My style is I just say the questions, and it's like in the back of my mind while I just go and do my studying. I'm not like, so it's more of just an exercise in expanding my awareness so that I focus on things that I can potentially learn better, right? So that's something I did today, which is really good. Again, I think it's a very beneficial exercise. I think it helps with, fatigue with doing the same things too much, so you can vary it, but I still think it's very productive. Um, and so some of the other stuff I did today is, of course, I always read source code. I did a little bit of like code POC, like very very light code POC. And what I mean by that is I've got my WebStorm IDE up and open, and I have my basic ass TypeScript React app that I use the npx create wrap dash dash template TypeScript with, And if I see something and I have a question about it, like, can I use this in my own project? Sometimes I'll just take a step back. I'll go to my IDE. I'll do a little exercise and see that I can do it. And that's just another really good thing to do in the background. I'm not actually writing code. I'm more so just proving to myself that I can import something or I can use something or that the pattern can be repeated in my own code. For instance, I wanted to see that I could get prop types and TypeScript types to work together on this very minimal thing where I just render a component, and I wanted to do it also with a hook to see the differences. I was exploring React components that are classes versus React components that are basically hooks, and how they're different. So I learned a fair amount about hooks today too because I was looking into that. Let's see, I learned a little bit about regex. I didn't really look into it too much, but I explored the parentheses, which is a capture group. I almost always just use brackets, and I don't even think I'm going to use parentheses, but I saw it in a couple different libraries, some of the source code I read today, so I was like, I'll check it out. Yeah. So let's see, some of the other stuff that I did was I kind of did some real hunting for CSS because I'm gonna give you the details about my opinion of CSS. I actually think CSS is like pretty difficult to learn, but not for the reasons that are like normal. It's not actually that CSS is complicated. It's that finding good information on it on the internet is kind of hard. And some of the information, like there's these documents called the CSS specifications that are on like some website on the internet. Oh man, it's like really hard to parse. I've read RFCs and they were hard to read at the beginning, but compared to RFCs, that just seems like a clusterfuck, honestly. Like the CSS specification system, and it's just not super great, but as I've gotten a little bit deeper into CSS, I've sort of pinned down what I'm really going to look into deeper, and it's very simple. There's like three main positioning systems that CSS uses. There's the box model, the flex model, and then the grid model or whatever. Maybe it's basically the vocabulary, right? And so all you do is look into those things more, and a lot of the other stuff, I guess animations and transforms and stuff like that. Some of that stuff is probably pretty complicated too, and I don't think that will be addressed in the layout of the page and whatnot. So I might have to do some more digging to do that. But other than that, I think like the other plan I had for CSS is like really solid. Like you just read the properties over and over again, you look at code, and then you think about those main positioning things. Honestly, I read a Wikipedia entry about CSS, and it was worth more than the CSS specification documents. Probably because they're just so technical, and the jargon is actually, it's actually sort of divorced from what users of CSS use, right? And it's so important that you get the vocabulary because then you can go to the Google search engine and actually get better information, better and better and better information, right? And that's kind of what this whole thing is. So anyways, I feel like I'm on the right track with CSS. I'm trying to do it the right way. I'm trying to really internalize how it works so I don't have to deal with any of this bullshit that I've had to deal with before, and I won't lie, I think the CSS system, it seems like it's basically, what I understand of it is it's, like based on a sort of flow diagram or something. But I think my initial reaction is it's fucking retarded. But, like positioning stuff on a screen shouldn't be this hard. But hey, like, it's very powerful. The whole world uses it. It's worth learning anyways, and the deeper I get into it, the more and more I'm not going to be butting my head, and the more and more I'm keeping a very open mind about it, okay? I've had a lot of resistance to CSS in the past, and I'm being open about that and authentic. But at this point in time, I'm beyond that. I'm really diving into CSS, and I'm approaching it, and I'm giving it the type of respect that I give a lot of things I really value, like reading about Python deeply, going into even the interpreters, different, the C code, about how that's unrelated. But anyways, I'm treating it like a first class skill or piece of knowledge, knowledge tree subject. That's the right thing. I'm treating it like a first class subject, and I'm gonna learn it. And after I get past it, it's gonna be real easy, honestly. So, or it's gonna be much much easier, and I'm not gonna hate it probably. Although I don't even hate it now, but I haven't been writing it. I've just been reading about it. So let's see what else. What else did I kind of do? Oh yeah, I found some other really good resources by. I looked into web APIs a little bit more. I didn't get too far into those because there's so many, but yeah, I looked into those a little bit more. So, anyways, let's talk a little bit about the feelings and about the plan, about the direction, right? I feel pretty good about it. I had things sort of click a little bit today, more than I've had in the past. And it's day 13. I'm approaching 100 hours now. I'm getting pretty close, and the syntax is really starting to get easier. Like reading JavaScript starting to get pretty fast for me, and I'm starting to have a much more deep understanding of what it is. And I'm not spending more time on it. I'm just able to parse it better, right? That's expected. That's awesome. That's cool. And I expect that to sort of just continue. But so that's good. That's good. And I feel pretty decent. I'm not too tired, you know. Like I said, I did a really good job of meditating in between some of my sessions, and then trying to be creative about like continuing to focus on it, but in a way that's not going to create as much fatigue. And yeah, I still don't know exactly where I'm going with everything. I'm still very much so in the infancy of really categorizing all of these new pieces of information, which aren't completely new, but the level of detail I'm going into this time is very new territory. So I'm really trying to build a very solid internal understanding of what is CSS, what is HTML, what is JavaScript, what is React, what is Webpack, what is Babel, how do these things relate to each other, how does the DOM work, how did all of this evolve, why is it this way, where do they intersect, what's the relationship between these different things. And each one of these different subjects or objects are very, very deep in and of themselves. And the way they relate to the other things is very, very deep in and of itself. Not in and of itself, but between the two different things, right? So there's just a lot to unpack and install into my mind. And so that's sort of what I'm aiming for. Because, basically, I guess that's kind of the point of this whole exercise, right? From if you take a step back, I want to have the greatest comprehension of JavaScript, but why? And some of the other related technologies, peripheral technologies. Why? Because I want to be the most efficient web developer I can be. Why? Because I have a lot of ambitious, lofty goals involving web development. Why? Because it seems pretty interesting and also very mathematically powerful. Given my position, I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of friends. I don't have a lot of influence. What can I leverage in the world? What can I grab onto to try and actually make an impact? And it turns out that probably the best thing is web development. A lot of people go from 0 to huge amounts of influence. It's just like a radical change, all because of web development, basically, right? Just I mean, like, there's just countless examples, like Uber, Amazon, blah blah blah. I'm not gonna go through it. And obviously, those people may have been like, they had a lot more than what I have, but I'm not really aiming for that. I'm aiming for something way more modest. And so I guess that's sort of part of the motivation. But there's also another deeper motivation, and that is just I find it so existentially exhilarating and satisfying to take on extremely challenging things just for the sake of mastering them. It's just for fun. It's like, I just enjoy doing that whole process, going down that rabbit hole as far as I can, right? And so there's a pragmatic side that's kind of like polluted with, the standard status quo in media and like make money and be successful. There's like another pragmatic side, much less sexy, that's like have a career, be able to afford basic life. But then there's a more substantial, existentially speaking, angle, which is like explore the beauty of what you can comprehend, your own limits, and like really test that and appreciate when you break past things, appreciate your own capacity to do things in reality before you die. And to create things. Like, programming is very creative. It's very, very fun. It's very satisfying. It's such a unique challenge, So anyways, I mean, yeah, that's kind of, I guess, it's kind of like what I'm doing. It's kind of why I'm doing it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna probably do another 17 days of this. Maybe I'll pivot to something else. If I continue with this, to do a little bit of math here, right? If I've got like 85 and 13, okay, and if I just take that 31, by the end of this experiment I should have 200 hours. So I'm almost at the halfway point, which is very consistent with, it's day 13. But it'll be interesting where I end up, what my perspective will be, like where my head will be at, what kind of projects I'm going to do. And I don't even know. I may find that I actually really want to just keep diving into it more and do another 30 days. Or I might find, I already found something else that I might want to do, which is, I saw this really cool thing on this one site. This guy talked about how he made models in Blender, and they just look so good. And I was like, I want to make a model in Blender just to generate an image that looks like super high quality and professional and creative. What's cool is, like, when you learn that skill in Blender, you can create anything. It's like, but it's also efficient, and it's also like really high quality. If you can't tell, I'm obsessed with super high quality, right? I'm not really interested in being pretty good at something. I'm interested in being like the pinnacle, right? And maybe that's possible, maybe it's impossible for me specifically, right? In some ways I stack up. I'm not competing with other people really, but when you compare me and stack me up with other people, there are other people that are going to be just as hardworking, even though it's a pretty rare combination, but probably magnitudes smarter than me. And I probably can't beat those people, but it's okay because they're so rare. It doesn't really hurt. It's not going to hurt my own attempt at doing it myself. Or at least that's the theory. I really don't know. Right? But damn, I forgot what that was even related to. What was I even talking about, man? Oh yeah, I was talking about how I'm really focused on trying to be like the best I possibly can. But I'm not really competing with people. I really believe in win-win. I think competition is a complete waste of fucking time. why why would you fight another person? Why would you compete? Like, cooperation is 1,000 times better. Everyone should be cooperating and trying to figure out how to win together, right? But I understand the real world has pragmatic, like, game theory dynamics going in it to some extent, and so there is real competition because, you know, it's just that it's in reality, I guess. But anyways, I guess that's this update. I've been talking for a while now, and I'll let you guys know. I'm gonna try and get 12 hours done tomorrow. You know, there are some even more crazy things you can do, like 14 hours. Believe it or not, I've done that before, but you need to have like, you need to be so. That's pretty. I haven't even hit 12 hours, yet, and so. But I mean, it's only been 13 days, so we'll see. Anyways, thanks guys for tuning in. Uh, you know, communicate with me. If you want to communicate with me. I hope you want to communicate with me. Communicate with me. But also, check out my blog. It's on programming too. And I guess like and subscribe so that you can meet other people that might be like-minded. We can all sort of converge here in reality. There's so much bullshit. You have to slog through all this noise and all of the internet. It's like, just to try and find something worth watching, it's pretty hard. Or worth attending to. I don't even know if I am worth attending to. I guess that's sort of tautological. But I am trying not to waste people's time. But, this is basically just a diary. I enjoy talking, though. I enjoy talking about this. It's like, it's a good mental, emotional brain dump, right? Because, sometimes I have watched more of my stuff. I don't typically watch it, but I did start watching some of my stuff a little bit more, and I think it'll help me become more articulate too, because I'll realize how sometimes the stuff I say is stupid or like really poorly said, or maybe just like emotionally cringe or something, where it's just like, this person is not cool. So, I mean, I'll probably go through an evolution in some sense, but that's not really what I'm doing. I'm more focused on, becoming a great programmer, not like ironing out my weird idiosyncrasies and my personality that make me, I guess, maybe a little bit unappealing at times. But anyways, geez, another tangent. You can just see my mind is just like going everywhere. Anyways, back to this. Thanks, guys. And the most important thing is, I hope that you guys are doing okay and you get your own mindset on what you want to do and you pursue it with the highest quality you can and you have a good time with it. And peace out. Have a good night.